It's been an interesting year, and we thought that we should talk about that. Talk about what happened, in our private lives, in our professional lives, and also starting this podcast because we started this year.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
been an interesting journey.
It has been. And it looks
Yeah.
like it's been so long. Like
Yeah.
when I think about this
Yeah.
podcast, it feels like we've always done this.
Exactly, that's how it feels like.
Yeah, but we
And we
just started
in
this year.
June.
In June, yeah, mid
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
Goals.
Goals,
Yeah.
goals, big ones and small ones. Even things you think are so petty and
Yeah.
minor,
Yeah.
you just write them down.
Yeah.
And you know why it's so important to write even the smallest things? It's because when you start controlling your list, you have a lot to tick, and that motivates a lot, and that gives you so much gratitude.
Yeah.
So many reasons to be grateful for, and that has been that's always the best thing for me at the beginning of the year. Yeah.
Nice. A lot has happened. It's actually so amazing how much has happened this year. I feel like so many of my identities have been shaken and reformed. So many things I thought I knew about myself, old ideas. I've had many old ideas about myself. I have rethought many things. It has been both outside and inside. It has been a lot going on.
I love every moment of this. I'm so thankful that we get to do this.
Yeah.
And I always say I could never have imagined doing it with anybody else but you, Boy.
Thank you.
It's a blessing,
Yeah.
having to do this with you, and also having our listeners and our viewers appreciating us and the stories they tell us about, learning from us, and also identifying with our stories.
Yeah.
And I think we are doing what we intended to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of your favorite conversation, Far From Home Diaspora Conversation. My name is Wambui, and I'm really, really glad that you have joined us again. And as usual, we want to thank our sponsors, TEDx Media, for their continuous support. And we're going to be telling you more about that in the course of this conversation. I do hope you've had a good week, and I hope you do enjoy this conversation. We have an interesting one today, Cara. What are we talking about?
I think I don't need to introduce myself. You just said my name.
No.
Nowadays, you guys know us, so I think, it's been an interesting year, and we thought that we should talk about that. Talk about what happened, in our private lives, in our professional lives, and also starting this podcast because we started this year.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting journey.
It has been. And it looks
Yeah.
like it's been so long. Like
Yeah.
when I think about this
Yeah.
podcast, it feels like we've always done this.
Exactly, that's how it feels like.
Yeah, but we
And
just started
in
this year.
June.
In June, yeah, mid
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But let's start with the beginning of the year, because I don't know how you start your year, but for the last 3 or 4 years now, I started a tradition for myself, which is fasting.
Oh, yeah, you do that.
Yeah. I start always in the beginning of the year. That means on the 31st, I don't do clubbing. Nowadays, I just go home and I'm in bed even before midnight. And the fasting starts on the 1st. And what I do is, for the first 5 days, I just close myself in. I switch everything off, like no television, no phone, no nothing. I don't even read. I am just with myself.
Oh my God.
And that's difficult.
How do you stand that?
I'm telling you, that is one of the most difficult things you can do. You can't imagine that being with yourself could be so difficult. But when you're not talking to any human being, my kids are not home. So I'm just alone with my 4 walls. I switch on the phone once a day at around 4.
Mm.
I talk to the kids for about 10 minutes and then I switch it off and it's gone.
Jesus, Lord Almighty.
Yeah.
Don't you go crazy?
No. In the first day, the second day I had, especially because I'm also fasting. So what I'm only I only think about food. I think about food the whole time.
Let me get this straight. You fast food, you fast human contact,
Yeah.
you fast social media.
Yes.
You fast literature, like
Yes.
no books, nothing.
No television, no books, nothing. I don't talk to human beings. I don't read. There is no input from outside. No input. Zero. I don't even talk to my
Jesus.
neighbors.
What do you eat? What do you
don't
do?
Eat. I just drink water or tea.
Isn't the day like extremely excruciatingly long?
It is. It is. Especially I'm telling you, the first 2 days are just crazy. But then the third day, one boy, your mind becomes clear. And you start, we underestimate the kind of input we have the whole day.
Yeah.
That means
überflutung.
The food, the social media, and I am a social media person. I am, sometimes when I look at my, it's a lot. So when you don't have all that, and all you have are your thoughts.
Jesus, that is so scary.
It's the best thing you can do for yourself.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, guys, I once fasted for 5 days. This was my one and only experience of fasting that was outside religion. Growing up, we used to fast and then we would go somewhere and pray.
Okay, yeah.
So that was something, for me, fasting in that manner is something totally different. But this form of fasting where it was like a sort of detox kind of a fasting.
Yeah.
Then people told me that day you will no longer be hungry. I was so hungry.
Even the third day.
First day I was hungry. Second day I was hungry. Third day I felt like I wanted to eat a human being alive. Fourth day I was extremely hungry. My thoughts did not get clear. I was sweating in a bad mood. I think it's only the fifth day when I went to the sauna. When I came out of the sauna, it was the first time I felt like, okay, I'm okay. And on that day, I decided to eat.
You stopped.
Yeah.
That is what is called the fasting high. You get a high. You
high?
Feel like
Which
so good.
What? Which? No. No, I totally gave up on fasting. So
For me, it's the third day where I get my high. And one boy, the end of last year, I was in such a deep place, a dark place. And you remember all the drama and all the, just feeling like I could not go on with the business, and a lot was happening where I was feeling like I had come to an end, and I was almost giving up on everything. And when I fasted, that's why I'm telling you, your mind, it's so clear. You start thinking clearly.
Yeah.
On the fifth day, I was so energized. I felt so much energy. Like a new person. Like I could think clearly. I could see where I can work, what I can do, what. It was like that's how it is. And then I fast for 5 more days, but those ones not locked up, just for 10 days.
Among normal humans.
Yeah, among, because at some point I have to go back to work, and also the kids,
I have so much respect for you that you do that every year. I mean, I know Carol does this, and I never call her during this period.
Yeah,
and whenever we talk after that, you always have the craziest idea.
Yes,
and I don't know if this time around which was the first idea you sold me.
No, I don't.
You sold me the idea of writing the 300 list thing.
Oh, yes. Yes.
300 things. Carol told me, write down 300 things that you want from God and see if this will not happen. And we actually sat down and wrote the list.
We wrote,
Yeah.
yeah. And I've ticked so many,
Me
so
too.
many from that list.
Me too.
I've ticked.
Yeah.
It's been amazing, guys. It's been I feel tears now when I think about that list. And you don't have to have 300 feels like a lot.
Yeah.
But you don't have to have big things. It's not a house and a car it's even small things like dear God, I want an iPhone that I can make photos with. I want
That's a big thing though. Look at this one saying an iPhone is not a big thing.
Oh, sorry.
Wow. Okay, goals.
Yeah, goals. Big ones and small ones. Even things you think are so petty and minor, you just write them down.
Yeah.
And you know why it's so important to write even the smallest things? It's because when you start controlling your lists, you have a lot to tick, and that motivates a lot, and that gives you so much gratitude.
Yeah.
So many reasons to be grateful for. And that has been that's always the best thing for me at the beginning of the year. Yeah.
Nice. Did you have any resolutions?
I don't do resolutions. What I do is my vision board.
Yeah.
I write a lot of the things I want to happen for that year. So when I look at it now, there are things that have happened, and I have big ones, extremely crazy big things. And even when they have not happened, I see the steps that I've gone towards that goal. Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
And the last one before we move on, are there things that maybe you wanted to happen that did not happen that you're actually grateful for that they didn't happen? Sort of prayers that were not answered, but you're grateful that they never got answered.
Yeah, I think so. I think I won't give the details, but regarding the business, there were some things I had asked God, and I'm just glad he didn't do it the way I wanted to. And I think you know what I mean. Yeah.
I love that. I love looking at my prayers and seeing also the ones that were not answered.
Yeah.
And being also grateful for those.
For those,
Yeah.
And then you see, this is not the path that God wants me to follow. He has this path really clear for me. I'm not seeing that at the moment, so I'm praying for him to take me this way. But then he refuses, and he forces me to look this way, and then things happen, and you're like,
oh
my God, good that it's good that didn't happen. And yeah.
Sometimes I go to God, I'm like, okay, God, I am sorry. Yeah. Oh, nice. I love that.
Yeah. Let's talk about you now.
Let's talk about me.
Because a lot has happened.
A lot has happened. It's actually so amazing how much has happened this year. I feel like so many of my identities have been shaken and reformed. So many things I thought I knew about myself, old ideas. I've had many old ideas about myself. I have rethought many things. It has been both outside and inside. It has been a lot going on. And it's funny because I can't remember where I was on New Year's Eve. Although, like I was telling Carol, I don't know, I don't drink. So there's no way I was in a blackout. But I can't remember. I can't remember. Oh, okay. Now
you remember.
Now I remember. But I'm not going to tell you about that because it was somehow personal. But this year was the year I transitioned from being sort of a student. I mean, I was no longer a student, but I was still not my own person in form of work. And so this changed. And this was the first time this year was the first time I actually got a real employment in Germany. Before this, I've had many, many jobs. I've worked in many, many places, but it has always been jobs. It has never been like an official
employment.
So that has been a huge change. And I see that it's really also shaping the way I think. So I think that's the biggest change that has happened this year for me personally. That makes me see that everything else is sort of rotating in the same direction due to this one big thing. Many other smaller things have happened because of that. But I think also emotionally, I feel much more settled. I remember when I started this year, my greatest wish was to move out of the city I live in currently because I simply hated it. I still don't love it, but this is no longer a wish.
To
And
move.
to move. And I wanted to go back to Cologne because this is where I used to live. And it feels like I wanted to go back to my old life.
Okay.
And I feel like now, even if I move, it will no longer be my choice.
Okay.
Which is very interesting for me, which is why I was asking you if there are things sometimes that you're happy that God did not answer.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm actually glad I'm not living in Cologne. I sort of feel like I have outlived that
need to
that
be.
that need, and also that me who had to live in Cologne.
Do you know why that happened? Do you have an idea why this longing for your old life isn't there anymore, like that Cologne thing? Is there anything happened that made you now stop thinking about moving back there? Is there anything that happened? Anything you can put your hands on?
Cara, actually a lot of things have happened also because of the conversations we have here in our podcast. You know, what is home? The idea of home.
Yeah.
And why was I holding on so tightly to the idea of Cologne being home? And realizing it was the people.
Okay.
And then realizing, but I can still visit the people. I no longer have to be. I no longer need that identity right there in Cologne to be part of that, for it to be my home. I think these are some of the questions that I've been asking myself.
Yeah.
Why do I want to go back to Cologne? Because of the people, definitely not because of the city.
It's not the place.
It's not the place.
Yeah.
And I think this is what has made it easier for me to think, no, actually, that's not what I want. And also, this is also the year I visited my friend, one of my oldest friends, Bessie. Bessie, in case you're watching, hi, I really love you. This was my visit to Atlanta. And, also being reminded again, we had many conversations of how we grew up. And I think a part of me had forgotten all the things that used to happen when we were growing up. And I think living in Cologne and living this student life had sort of, I had very many fixed ideas. And when we were growing up, being reminded, growing up, we didn't have fixed ideas. Everything was possible. And I think right now, maybe because I'm no longer confined to this student sort of a thing, I'm starting to see more now that everything is possible. I could stay anywhere. It doesn't have to be Cologne. It can be anywhere in this world I could stay. So I think those are the things which are very interesting for me right now.
Are you feeling some kind of stability inside you now?
Yes.
Not considering everything that is happening outside, because I think that comes from inside more than it comes from whatever is happening around you. Of course, that contributes, but do you feel like because when you're talking, I was seeing something like, being at home with yourself.
Yeah.
And that is why you're able to think that you can be at home anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I am much more stable. And the first thought that came to mind was financial stability. Because obviously now I'm much more financially stable than I ever was. But I realize it's not necessarily also the financial stability. I think age. I think I've also grown up. I've grown up to a point where I can give myself the stability emotionally that I need. Because I think in my 20s, I really needed outside for my emotional stability. And I feel like right now I am more able to cater for my emotional needs, such that there's much, much more stability in myself. I'm no longer questioning myself so much. I used to question myself so much, question my decisions. You know, there was always the next thing to do. There was the bachelor's to finish. There was the master's to finish. After that, there was the doctor's to finish. There was something. There's always been something that I wanted to achieve. Get a husband, get married, get a better job, get better this, get a better body, I don't know, there's always been a lot that was always in the future, but the now was never really okay as it is. And I think, although right now I still have very many goals, you know, Carol, like right now, my greatest desire is to just have a car.
Yeah.
If I
I
just
know.
had a car, I
Yeah,
feel like my life
yeah,
would be better.
Yeah.
But still, I don't feel this. I don't feel like it's taking anything away from me as a person. Yes.
You could remain the way you are, and you
Yes.
would be happy.
Yes. I am not
Wow.
necessarily unhappy. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I've seen you transition even
Yeah.
within the time we've been doing this
Yeah.
podcast. You remember there was a time I was telling, you know, it also has maybe to do with the fact that, of course, I am home here. This is my restaurant. So I am comfortable in every sense.
It's your space.
It's my space.
Yeah.
But you remember me telling you, boy, you have to own that seat.
Yeah.
You have to own that seat.
I know.
That's your seat.
She kept telling me, own that seat. I'm like, how the heck do you own something? I sit like this. Am I owning it? And there was another dude over there who was telling me, you look like you're waiting for the bus. How?
You know, she was sitting like this. You know how you are an invited guest somewhere and you sit like you're just waiting to stand up and go. Like you don't want to feel comfortable in that seat. You are not allowing yourself to be there and own your space.
Like a walking excuse.
Yeah.
I remember, guys, there's a time I was in Carol's house, and I swear if there's a place I feel at home other than my place, it's Carol's house.
Yeah.
Surely it's only in your house I've ever slept as much as I've slept outside my own house. I generally don't like it. I generally like being in my own house.
In your space. Yeah.
In my own space. I love my own space. I'm a very introverted person, and sometimes people don't believe me when I tell them that. I really need my space. So other than my space, your space is the next space that feels at home.
Oh, thank you for that.
But I remember this.
I wish I could just stand up and show you how Amboy was coming in. At some point, I had to ask her, Wamboy, why do you have to excuse yourself for leaving? You know, she was coming. I was mostly in the kitchen already. Wamboy wakes up and then comes, opens the door like this, looks in. As if she's waiting for me to give her permission to come in.
Yes.
And I observed that for some time. And then after some time, I said, you know, this excusing
my existence.
Yeah, excusing your existence. And I was like, why?
Yeah.
And I had known you enough to know that it's not like you were not feeling comfortable in my house.
No, yeah.
It was your way of not
being intrusive.
Yeah, intruding into, you know, and it was not. You knew you can come in, you can go, you can do whatever you want to do, but you were excusing every step of your way, you know, just tiptoeing around the house, not wanting your presence to be felt and felt. And it was, my God.
Yeah. And I had never, you know, this is how I was raised. I was silenced a lot. This is why I talked a lot about being silenced.
Yeah.
I was silenced a lot when I was growing up. You know, shut up, don't talk, don't speak, don't. And I learned that as a way of coping. And it worked very well for me because even when I came here and I was an au pair, I was a generally very, very quiet person. You would generally not notice I'm there. And I can do that very well. You won't know I'm there. It has been always my goal to be there
without being noticed. And I'm a complete opposite.
And she's the complete opposite. When she gets into a room, she's like, wow.
My presence will be heard, felt, and seen.
I know. And do you know, guys, what I also noticed after now, really, I've thought about this so much. I started noticing when I want to get food in your house, for example, I know I'm allowed to take food, so I'll go for the plastic plate.
Yeah.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I was always doing such things, and I do
Not
that in my own house.
In your own house.
Yes, I take the plastic cups in my own house. I was so shocked. I mean, I've been doing this all my life. I've never really noticed that I'm doing it.
I had to point that out. I really had to point that out.
Jesus.
But then, like I was saying, I have really noticed the way things have changed.
Yeah.
And you remember that one time when it clicked?
Yeah.
When we were, I can't remember which episode we were doing.
I think it was that one. Also.
Yeah, I think it was. And she sat, and you owned your space, and it was so nice to see. It was so nice to see you just own it.
And I can't remember what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Something just clicked. in your mind. I don't know what.
Yeah.
But it happened. Like, I looked at you and I was like, oh my God.
I got it.
She's now owned her chair.
I arrived.
Yeah.
And
that is, and that is why I was so insisting in this, not a co-host thing. Mm-hmm. We are both hosts. Mm-hmm. And I wanted you to be that. Mm-hmm. And not just because this space is my space, this podcast is our podcast. Yeah. And not, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy things changed. I'm really.
Me too. And they continue changing.
Yeah.
Really, it has changed, and I don't know why. Maybe it was just time.
Maybe you needed some time. Yeah.
And maybe I needed someone to point it out so that I could acknowledge
that too. I remember something else. You remember that time we were driving to Frankfurt? Here is a quick one to tell you about our sponsors, TDX Media. I've been working with TDX Media for about 5 years now, and this has saved my life, literally saved my life. TDX Media has a way of helping you to optimize your office work. So I am a very chaotic person. My office was looking like you can imagine it. And then TDX Media came, and they really helped me to optimize the processes, especially the processes of how I work, what should happen when, they came and advised me. They came and sorted out most of my files and all that, because I am not that. And then my website, it's beautiful because it is being maintained, it is being serviced by TDX Media. And then the CEO of the company, Christian Tiedemann, who does all that, comes to you, advises you, he talks to you, he listens to your needs, and then crafts everything according to how you need it, but adding his professionalism in everything that he does, such that at the end of it all, and he will not use anything he doesn't think is okay for the person visiting your website. So if your photos are not good enough, then he'll not put them in. And that is the level of professionalism that I need when I'm working with someone, so that they just don't do everything I tell them to do. They tell me, okay, it's your website, but it has my name on it. So he will not do anything that is not professional enough. And the other thing is event management. Guys, these guys are so organized. TDX Media is so organized. They have taken control and over. They organize our African festival, which happens every year. So I have nothing to do with it. The first year I organized it myself. I almost went crazy. And nowadays I just get calls, or when we're talking, it's a yes, no, and I have nothing to do with it. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. I love working with these people. I love the way they, present themselves in a way that is, I will talk about professionalism the whole time, because that is what they are. They are professionals. And you see that in everything they do. When they're doing consultations with you, They are very specific in everything that they're doing. You can only be satisfied when you're working with Titix Media. And I'm so glad that have trusted us now to sponsor our podcast. And I've been working with them all this time, satisfied with their work. I'll continue working with them. So please visit their website, www.tidix.de. That's www.tideix.de. Visit them because you'll be doing yourself a favor. Thank you so much. I will never forget that moment when now we are talking about this thing of deserving and self-worth.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about jobs and if things went wrong.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this woman has a master's degree in education.
Yeah.
And then she tells me, and please don't get me wrong, any job is a job that can be done, should be done at the right time. And I'm not shitting on any job. But then we are talking and, and she's telling me, yeah, if things went wrong, I could go and start cleaning. And I'm like, what? What? After 10 years of studying, one boy, speaking perfect German, you can be anything. You can be so many things. So many things. And that is why I'm not saying that a cleaning job is a bad job. I'm just saying that after some time, you should appreciate the position you are in life, the position where you have, the far you've come up until that point. God has blessed you so much. So much. Sometimes now I start talking Kikuyu and Swahili and all that because
it gets crazy. It gets crazy.
Sometimes God should just, hit you with one to wake you up because the blessings are so huge.
And it was during the same time I had been asked to go and talk somewhere to get paid 800 euros just for speaking for one day.
Yeah.
But I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that I also do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
And the singing and you can
singing.
give private lessons.
Yeah.
You can do, there's so many. At that moment, I could think of 100 things you can do.
And I couldn't.
And you were telling me, yeah, Carol, and just talking as a matter of fact, like that is the most natural thing in the world.
Yeah.
I just go and start cleaning. And I told our boy, at some point in your life, some things must stop being
an option.
Yeah. Some things must stop being an option. And
especially the only option.
Yeah.
Especially because I still could clean.
Of course.
But at this point in my life, as you say, at the expertise I've gathered in my life,
yes,
really, I will also slap myself if I found myself thinking cleaning is the only option I have.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing that's what I thought. If I don't get a job, that's the automatic thing I will have to do. I didn't think of another option. But then, Carol, I was cleaning houses when I was 7.
Yes, that is okay.
It took me
and even
long.
when you came to Germany,
yeah,
and
even that's how I financed all my studies.
Yeah, I also started cleaning dishes in a restaurant when I came. But that is not an option for me anymore.
No,
I refuse to make that an option.
Yeah,
not because cleaning is bad, but because the far I've come, there are things I refuse to have as an option. Yeah. I would not go looking for a cleaning job. Yeah. No, God cannot bless me all this much for me to start going back.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It really is crazy. And it took me so long to actually see that this is not humility, that it's actually crazy.
Yeah.
Because I was raised to be humble. And sometimes we confuse humility with being less than.
Yeah.
And this is, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because once we had that conversation, even when the whole time I was thinking of moving to Atlanta, it did not cross my mind that I was going to go clean.
Yeah. Now it's not an option anymore. It's not an option.
This is the money I earn in Germany. Will I earn that much in Atlanta? No. Okay, no, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I want more.
Yeah.
and I've never wanted more. So
You have
these are
never
things-
allowed yourself to want
I've never
more.
allowed myself to
Yeah.
want more because
Yeah.
I thought I didn't deserve it. And once you give me more, it used to scare me. You know,
Yeah.
if you offer me a lot of money to come sing, I freak out.
I remember that time you were telling me you went to ask, is that not? Yeah. It's a process, and I wasn't always the way I am now. Not always. I mean, I think due to my job and all that, I had to own my space. I remember in the beginning it wasn't the same. I used to go back in the kitchen and cry sometimes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
it's true.
But nowadays, I'm telling you, I own my space because
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing I remember when the year began, last year, I was just joking and telling myself, now this is something very different. Maybe I could do a celibate year. I could abstain.
From what?
Sometimes I like looking at your facial expression. It's just so nice.
What are you celebrating? Why?
Yeah, I just I was in a relationship last year and we decided to break that relationship because it wasn't working with my time and everything. And then I thought, you know what? I'll stop laughing, one boy.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
We used to
I
have
thought,
tissues here. Where did they go? Okay, go on. I'm listening.
yeah, I decided, not actually deciding, and that is why these things you tell God sometimes as a by the way. You say this as a by the way, and God, I should be careful with what I say sometimes. And I said, how would that be just having a I mean, a year of no sex.
But you did not inform me about this development.
I did not know that a year could end without.
So this is your prayers being answered.
These are the things we're talking about that sometimes are a bit difficult when you just thinking, not thinking it could happen, just thinking to yourself, oh, let me see if I could do it. And then now, the other day, I was thinking, it's December. It's December.
So the year closed
It's been
like
more
that.
than a year.
Mm-hmm. More than a Caro.
It's been more than...
Okay.
It's been more than a year.
That's been long.
That's been long.
Can someone help? I can give you the address.
That is why my friends on TikTok, I'm telling you, it's been...
Yeah, but with me, it had been longer than that. Actually, I don't even know why I'm laughing.
Before that, it had been longer.
Yeah, longer than a year. I won't say how long.
You made a conscious? Can you remember making a conscious decision? Not decision really, but thinking about it.
I remember telling myself things like, I can
You're
live without a relationship.
Boy.
I know. I need help. Christian, can you help, please?
Yeah.
I remember telling myself.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Please give us a moment.
This lady, you know that every time she laughs, she cries.
And I mess my mascara and my makeup.
Always. Yeah.
Okay. I remember telling myself, I can imagine living by myself with no relationship. But for me, I don't see it as a bad thing. For me, it has been good. It was really a good space to see who I am without any relationship, without wanting to have one. Because before that, I had moments without a relationship, but I always thought I need one. And I think that was the first time I felt like I'm actually okay. This can be an option for myself. And now it has ceased being an option, because why should it be?
What now? Not having a relationship.
Not having a relationship.
So how
going
has
through
this,
my life with nobody.
Yeah. How
I
has
have
this year
decided
been?
I don't want that.
Yeah.
This year a lot of it has been alone. I haven't had I haven't really had an
That sounds interesting now.
I haven't had a real relationship. But I tried online dating seriously for the first time in my life this year. I had several dates. I have never had so many dates, actually. You know, dressing up and going somewhere in a restaurant to just meet someone.
Oh, okay.
It has been really interesting.
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask. How is that experience like?
This experience has been really interesting because it's also the first time that I'm not giving myself rules. Normally, I'm like, okay, you have to be black. And if you're not black, no, we're not going to hang out, you know? But this time around, it has been like, I don't really mind. I just want you to be decent. Which has made the dating experience to be sort of fun. I have not been looking for a husband. I have just been dating. Actually, just the experience of dating.
Oh, wow.
So that has been really nice. I've been taken out to really interesting places. I remember there's one date, we went on one date, and the guy just paid, I think, 300 euros for food.
Okay.
I was like, oh, I hope you're taking that. And I've gotten more comfortable with being invited for food.
Yeah.
You know, I used to be like...
I know you have a problem with that.
I know I have a problem with money. I need clarity with my money. I need to know who's paying for what. And I generally like paying my own bills.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know sometimes I get on your nerves with the money issues. Yeah.
Because
I'm very strict.
Money issues, not like she has money problems, but she likes paying for everything. We are, you know, it's splitting. And I say, let me pay the 2 coffees. No, we can, you know, it's just pain.
Exhausting
because
sometimes.
She wants to pay for everything, for her own everything, and which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But you don't allow yourself to be treated by somebody else in so many,
Yeah, exactly. This has been really hard for me.
Yeah.
I treat people a lot, but for me, accepting someone is taking me out and paying for it. I was always scared I have to pay for it emotionally.
Yeah.
And I didn't have enough emotional capacity. So I'm like, let me just give the money so you will not ask for emotions from me.
Yeah.
And I also felt like if a man invites me for food, I'm going to have to pay for it with sex. And I don't want that either. So this is why many dates I was like, I'm going to pay for my food. If I'm going to have sex with you, it's because I want it and not because I feel like I need to pay for what you did.
Is it the way it is now?
Oh, right now I don't care. Oh, I don't care.
You don't care means you'll eat the food, go have the sex, and
or not have the sex,
or not have the sex.
Yeah, regardless of the food. I think I've
you
moved on.
You don't feel like even if you go and have the sex, it will not be paying for the food. It will be because you want and because both of you are in the mood for that.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's been really nice. I'm
You're
happy I
enjoying
got to do that.
Yeah. Were you on Tinder?
No.
I have to ask this because you, my friends on TikTok, have been talking about Tinder.
I was on Tinder. No, I didn't go to Tinder because I was scared.
Talking about Tinder a lot because I've had stories about Tinder. I was hoping you'd give us some juicy stories. Okay, it wasn't Tinder.
I'm really scared of Tinder because, Carol, I've never been able to be a one-night stand person. For me, I don't know. I need a relationship. And I know that people go to Tinder to look for other things. Of course, you can find a partner in Tinder, but sometimes it makes no sense if you're looking for rice to go look in the bean sack, you know.
That's true.
So
but sometimes you find some rice corns in the bin.
And then you have to ask yourself, Carol, why is it here? What is it doing there? What happened to it? It must be crazy, that rice corn.
Yeah, okay.
So I did not go to Tinder.
It's interesting,
Yeah, because what I'm looking for is not casual sex. I'm not that person. There's a time I thought I need to be a casual sex person. I've realized I'm not, and I don't have to.
Okay.
So I went to other dating sites, which doesn't mean that those people don't want to have one night stands. It's just that
There are
at
some
least
who
there
do,
it's
yeah.
clear. I can write what I want, and the other person writes what they want, and then at least I can say, no, this is what I'm looking for. Yeah. So it has been, and I've always judged online dating because I felt like you only go online dating when you're desperate.
Yeah.
And and for you to be desperate, it means you are not beautiful. So I judged online dating for a while.
Yeah.
At least until Corona came, and everybody was like,
Everybody's online.
everybody's online.
Yeah.
And then I moved to the village of the villages.
Yeah.
And at some point I was like, I am never ever gonna meet anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody.
It's
my
not
age.
easy.
It's not easy.
Where do I like me now? I am in the kitchen
all day.
all day. Every day. Almost every day. Where am I supposed to meet anybody?
Especially where Carol lives.
Yeah.
There's another village.
It's also
another village. Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
And also the relationship I had before this year of celibacy.
Yeah.
I had gotten that person online. It was a nice relationship. And we were together for 1 year.
Yeah. He was actually a nice guy. I actually liked him.
For you, he was.
Not for myself.
Yeah, for me, he was. But then it was a bit difficult with my working hours. And
I get it.
It's difficult to have somebody who has time on weekends.
Yeah.
A normal job, like your job now where you work during the week and you have time on weekend. So full at work on weekends. My free days are Monday, Tuesday, maybe.
Yeah.
And also not very free. And
semi-free.
Semi-free.
Yeah.
So when it's a Monday and I have to do something with the podcast and I have to do my social media and it's fully packed. So I don't think it would be at least at the moment, it's difficult.
Yeah.
So I've been considering that thing of casual sex.
Celibacy won't work again another year?
It's hard one point.
Okay.
I'll say like I tell my Tinder people, Mukolo imeshoka.
This is so crazy.
Not my Tinder people, my TikTok people.
The people were asking me, what was she doing with her hand?
People, sometimes you just, how can you ask? If I say,
but Kara, I already gave you tips on what you can do. Why are you insisting with the hand alone? Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's a conversation for another day.
We have to talk about that because you know what?
No.
Somebody was telling me about self-help. Mary. Yeah. She told me we have to talk about that. And
she's the one who was asking me about with the hand.
Yes. And give tips about fornicating with myself.
At this point, we take this moment to appreciate our Spotify listeners who do not see us on video.
Who do not see us on video. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to us. Yeah. So that topic, maybe we'll talk about. I said maybe. I did not promise. I said maybe we'll talk about it. But
we'll bring it up.
That's the way it's been. It's been.
And you can have a bad you can meet someone elsewhere other than online and still is a bad relationship.
Yeah.
Like me, all the relationships I've had, they were not from online dating. So if it was anything about meeting a person in real life, that's what makes a relationship last. Surely, at least I will be married to one of these people.
Yeah.
But obviously it didn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
And I think, I don't know, the next relationship where, unless, I don't know. Let's wait and see. But I'm not asking God for celibacy next year.
No.
Let's see what happens.
I've seen people proposing to you even online.
I know.
You just refuse them.
Yeah.
I think you chose celibacy somehow.
I get a lot of DMs. My God.
There's a time I was meeting Caro in Cologne. She just waited for me, I think, for 5 minutes. And then I enter in this small restaurant. She was just drinking coffee. Already a dude was sitting there eating on her. I was like, how does she do it?
Yeah. Maybe it's not that I'm not getting people asking me out. It's maybe because I'm not ready for a relationship right now.
Yeah.
Let me just say that.
Yeah. Maybe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's see what happens next year.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But definitely celibacy is over.
I think it never started for me in my head. It was just there.
It was an option, but it has ceased being an option.
It has ceased being an option.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'm not saying that you start going into my DM now and offer.
Go ahead. Nice.
So, yeah. Is there anything that happened this year that you think you should talk about? Anything you're looking forward to for next year?
Jesus, there's so many things that happened. It's hard to put them. It's hard to pick one. But I think I am grateful for this year. I am grateful for where I am right now. I'm grateful for where I live. I am really grateful that we started this podcast.
Oh yes,
really, it has been so beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah,
the laughter.
Yeah,
because
I have laughed and cried a lot.
We laugh a lot. We laugh a lot. Yeah. It has definitely taken our time together.
Yeah,
but
it has.
We are still having these conversations.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that other people are having to be that was our idea of including other people in our conversations. They still feel intimate, but like going to the sauna and all that has come short. That and really? Also, of course, the time with the kids, because you spend
and I love time with your kids.
That is the thing that has now become a bit less. And as much as we love doing this, I think sometimes they feel like it's taking a lot of our time and they are not a part of it. And that is a bit but I love every moment of this. I'm so thankful that we get to do this. And I always say I could never have imagined doing it with anybody else but you, Amboy.
Thank you.
It's a blessing, having to do this with you, and also having our listeners and our viewers appreciating us and the stories they tell us about, learning from us, and also identifying with our stories. And I think I think we are doing what we intended to do. The
other day someone asked me, why would you do that? Why would you be so open on social media? And I thought, why would I not? This is the best form of a conversation that I've had in a very long time. Because it's honest, it's deep, it's not small talk. It's exactly the kind of a conversation that I like. And I get to share that with people who are interested in this conversation.
Yes.
And why would I not do that? So for me, it's almost natural that we should do this. And I'm really looking forward to what it becomes, or even remains to stay.
It can remain, it can become even more. I'm just looking forward to many more conversations next year with other people, with other guests. And you know what has not happened since we started these conversations?
What?
I've not been to my therapist.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Out of choice,
because I don't feel like I need that. There's been us talking about so many things and honestly and speaking things out that I have not felt the need for that.
It has been healing.
Even
for myself.
In so many ways.
Really.
And I'm not saying that I'll not need therapy. This time of the year is always difficult. I think it's also the weather and
It's
it's
dark, no
dark
sun,
and blue
it's raining.
and you people take your vitamin D supplements. It helps. But at the moment, I don't feel the need for that. So these conversations have been amazing. Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you would like to tell?
No, I'm just looking forward to everything that 2024 brings with it. Yeah.
Me too. All right. This has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
thank
this
you too,
year that we
Boy.
got to spend this together.
Yeah.
And I get to finish with a hot seat question.
Oh, God.
An easy one. Don't worry.
Yeah.
An easy one. Or maybe not easy. I don't know. But I would really, really be interested in knowing, is there anything you regret this year?
Regret. Not really regret, but I feel like I've not been so good at listening. Not a regret really, but I feel like I've not been, also to my kids, that I haven't listened enough. And I asked them the other day, do you guys think I listen to you enough? Because I noticed that we were having a conversation and I was just cutting off. And I feel like that is something I have not been doing very well this year. And having at the back of my mind that every time that is gone is lost and will never come, especially with the kids. Maybe there's also some regret in that, not listening enough. Being there, but not really listening. And also sometimes not letting them finish their sentences, like I just chip in and not chip in, I just unterbrechen, I just cut them off. Yeah. I think it's something like
English
that.
is horrible.
Yeah, it's that's something I feel like I feel like something I want.
Interrupt.
Yeah. Thank you, Christian. Interrupt. That's something I want to improve on next year. Work on, really, really work on. And also with us, I was listening to our conversations, and because you're a very good listener, mostly when I'm speaking, you're quiet and you listen.
Yeah.
When you're speaking,
You talk.
I talk, I interrupt, I say what I think you want to say. Sometimes I interrupt your thoughts because you're not in the flow. So that's something I want to improve on.
All right.
Yeah.
So all the best.
Thank you.
But don't worry, that's who you are. I'm the listener, you're the talker.
No, but sometimes it helps to let someone speak, finish speaking, finish putting their thoughts across. And then I can talk.
Yeah.
But these interruptions, I was listening to our conversations, and sometimes there's a conversation I was listening to the other day, and I interrupted you while you were explaining something so important, and you did not finish that, because after that we went into something else because I spoke a lot. And I felt bad about not letting you finish that. And I was angry at myself for not. And then I said, I have to improve on it. I have to improve on that.
Okay.
So I'll listen more.
All right.
Yeah.
No hard feelings from my side.
But that means she has noticed that I don't let.
No, actually, I know this is Wissenschaft. I'm going to tell you after the podcast, because this is really, I'm a nerd in that way.
Yeah.
How people talk and why they interrupt each other and at what point. I find that so interesting. I have to tell you that after the podcast.
Okay.
Have a nice one, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We still have one more podcast for this year. We'll do one more.
Are you talking to the podcast?
Yes.
Ah.
Yes, still here. We'll do one more podcast in this year, and then after that we'll break. And continue. Are you still talking to the podcast? I think we have to go and eat.
I can't.
Bye-bye, guys. Ay, boy.
I